All right, welcome on board, everybody. I figured I'd come on here, give a little talk about some stuff I was dealing with at this show that I'm doing for the very first time. It's a pretty massive show. I'm here in the Queen City, the great city of Cincinnati, and I'm actually walking to my setup. It's about a 12, 13 minute walk. So I figured I'd walk and talk at the same time. Just want to talk about, as a full-time artist, as a crafter, when doing these shows, sometimes you have to deal with, or at least try to control the uncontrollables. Probably the biggest uncontrollable as an artist in these art fairs is dealing with the weather. We've had really crummy weather here. Friday was a complete rain out, 100%, completely washed out. And like that sucks because you don't drive any revenue at all. And when you do these shows, I mean, you count on every day producing X amount of money, whatever that is. I think most of us like to pay for all of our expenses on the very first day, at the very least. Even in a bad day, a bad show, you know, this show in particular, the booth fee was $1,200. I'm staying in a hotel downtown during this show. The show's called Taste of Cincinnati. So all the hotel fees are pretty steep. You can shop around and get something maybe under 200, but not much. So you're gonna pay for 4 days or 3 days, you're gonna end up paying basically another $800 for a hotel. So you're at $2,000 before you sold one piece of art or craft or whatever it is you do. And that makes it difficult when you lose an entire day because of rain or whatever. And that's really where we all are right now. So Friday was a washout. Yesterday was supposed to be intermittent rain, but it ended up being decent. It took about half the day for people to show up because everyone expected it to rain. But by the time you got to midday, right around 3 o'clock, I think you could tell that people were looking at the weather and they saw it's gonna be all right. Then it swelled pretty good and the day ended up being okay. So basically Saturday, for me, ended up being what you want Friday to be. So I basically paid for my expenses yesterday. So that wasn't fantastic because this is a big show. I mean, they deal with roughly 200,000 people every day. So it wasn't like fantastic, but it was good. You know, I did like $2,000. But I basically lost half the day because people thought it was gonna rain. So now, the third day, which is Sunday, I really wanna bang it out, wanna do real good. Well, it's gonna rain. As a matter of fact, it's starting to rain right now. So, you know, you're left with thinking, do the best you can with what you can on Sunday, try to make as much as possible, and then hope to high hell that tomorrow, which is Memorial Day, is just a banging day. Like it's gotta be a, $5,000, $6,000 day, like just massive. And again, you have no way of knowing if that's gonna happen. So my point being, doing these shows, you often are put in situations where you have to manage the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and the difficulties of things just not going your way. Now for me, this is 2 weeks in a row that Mother Nature has cried during the show. And so last week's Delaware Arts Fair, I basically did half of the revenue that I normally do. Now this is the first time I've ever done Taste of Cincinnati, but to be here and only have done $2,000 is far less than what I expected to have done by this point. With these 2 days done, I expected to have had at least, $5 or $6 grand done with 2 days left. Now, obviously, that's best case scenario, and there's no way of predicting that. You don't have a crystal ball, but you're going to be with other vendors that are dealing with the same thing, and quite honestly, it's tough. People get cranky, they get moody, they start chirping and complaining, and they're in the promoter's ear about every little problem, and everything becomes exacerbated when you're frustrated. And as far as the promoters go, look, they want you to have the best show you possibly can. They're not out for you to have a bad show, and it's not their fault that it rained. And quite frankly, they're dealing with hundreds of individual contractors and people and vendors, and a little grace and mercy goes a long way. I had a situation where the promoters were setting up the tents, which is actually a great luxury. So for your booth fee, you're paying also to have your tent set up, which I personally like a lot. That's just one more thing I didn't have to carry, one more thing I didn't have to worry about. Well, the tent setup didn't have a front door. They had the 3 walls for the side and the back, but didn't have a front door. And it was gonna rain overnight, and I'd already set my stuff up. Now I could bitch and moan and be crummy about it, or I could be diplomatic and go to the people who are setting them up and basically work it out so they can give me a door. And that's exactly what I did. Now, it didn't happen the first day, but it eventually happened. And that's all that mattered to me. So, but there are other people that are here, that are near me, that have been in the organizer's ear each day and night. And, they keep receipts too. Nobody wants to deal with a headache. And so there's a good chance that those people that bitch and moan and are enormous squeaky wheels won't be back next year, if they want to be. Who knows, right? So it requires you to think big picture. How is the show? Think of what the show would be like in a perfect case scenario. Would you want to be there, and would you expect to do very well? And if that answer is a resounding yes, just deal with shit. Sometimes you got to handle problems on your own. Sometimes you got to fix things that are technically the responsibility of someone else. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your setup, your booth, protecting your art, craft, and material, and making sure that everything's good. I don't know really what today is going to hold. Talking about evaluating the show and saying if perfect case scenario, would it be good? Yeah, it would be great. I think there were probably 100,000, 80,000 people here last night or yesterday, once it was clear that it wasn't going to rain. That's pretty good. So that means if it was a perfect day, it would have swelled to probably 150, maybe even more. And that's amazing if you think about it. Another thing, on Friday when I didn't even open up in that driving rain, there were still a few thousand people walking around, buying food, buying crafts. I mean, that's amazing to me. I mean, it's a hard thing to even put in perspective, that you had a few thousand people walking these streets in the driving rain with umbrellas and raincoats doing the damn thing. So, I'm carrying I'm pulling my wagon full of artwork and supplies and duffel bag and all that stuff. So thinking of it like that, I didn't open on Friday. I'm still glad I didn't, because I was drenched just getting my stuff set up. But today, knowing that we're gonna have intermittent rain, you think I'm gonna stay in the hotel when I could be here making money? Hell, I might make, let's say I made 800 bucks. No, let's say I made 500 bucks. That's, 500 is better than nothing. It's upside of zero. And it puts me closer to whatever my goal is if I have a banging day on Memorial Day. You just, again, big picture. What are we here for? I'm already here. I'm in Cincinnati. What am I gonna do? Just stay in a hotel? Spend money when I could make some money? So my point with this whole thing is you can't control the uncontrollables. You can only control what you can control. Your attitude, reflection, your altitude, and quite frankly, if you got a shitty attitude, you're gonna come off that way. You're gonna sell that way. You're gonna be a vendor or neighbor mate that way. And nobody wants that. Not one person. Nobody wants that. So as I get to my spot, I just want to close with saying, you're gonna have rain, you're gonna have wind, you're gonna have heat, you're gonna have cold, and it sucks. But this is the field and career and endeavor that you chose, and how you implement the way you work through those things greatly affects the bottom line. And I'm kind of winded. So obviously I'm hoping for a great day today. Obviously I have expectations that things will be great. The weather is spotty. I don't know if you can tell, it's the time I've been walking here, it really has started to drizzle, and the rain's gonna pick up a little bit more. But if it ceases and then picks back up and ceases and picks back up, people are still gonna be here. They're gonna, hey, how you guys doing? People are still gonna be here, and when they come through here, they wanna buy stuff. They wanna see you there, they wanna see you with a positive attitude, doing what you do to make happen what you're there to make happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish my setup, and I'll report back, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow when I walk down. I'll do another pep talk, and maybe half the pep talk is for myself, not just for you out there. But it's an important part of it. This has not been perfect at all. I can be honest with you and say that. But I'm still in the game. I'm on the field. The final seconds of the quarter have not ticked off, and I'm in it to win it. So fingers crossed. Today, some way, somehow works out to be all right. Tomorrow, hopefully, is banging. We got portable kegs right over here too. You gotta look at that. But yeah, now the rain's really kicking up. But yeah, so we're gonna report back. Hopefully tomorrow I have some decent things to say. I'll be honest and tell you how things are going, and we'll pull it out and go from there. Later.